Hey everybody, this is Allie from Allie Loops Crochet, and I'm so excited to teach you how to make a chill pill. First thing you need to know when you are starting out crocheting is that it's not going to be easy, but it is going to be so worth it. It might not turn out exactly how you imagine it, most likely won't, but it's going to be, you're going to love it. You're going to be so happy about it. Don't be afraid to slow the video down or pause it or do whatever you need to do to take it at your own pace and to figure it out, because you can do it. It's going to be so worth it. So you're going to need 2 colors of yarn. This is blanket yarn, which is the size 6 yarn. It's my favorite yarn to work with. You're going to need some toy stuffing, a little bit of thread to make the smile, and some eyes, safety eyes. These are size 12 millimeter safety eyes. I have a 6.5 millimeter hook, a stitch marker, and a needle. I provide all of this in a kit that you can purchase in my shop, or I will link my favorites down in the description below. Let's get started. When you're holding your hook, you can either hold it like a knife or you can hold it like a pencil. I definitely recommend some experimentation on how you want to hold it. Make sure you're comfortable with how you're going to do it. I'm going to hold it like a knife. Now I'm going to make a slip knot in the end of this yarn. I like to think of it as just I'm about to tie a knot in this yarn, but instead of pulling this end all the way through, I'm going to pull on this so that there's a little loop in there. So it should be, instead of pulling this end through, you should be able to kind of slide it so that it makes a smaller loop or a bigger loop, and then that's the loop that you put onto your hook. Just gonna put that on my hook, and I like it a little bit tighter, but you might want it looser to start out with, just so that you can get your hook through there. When you're holding your yarn, the biggest thing that you need to pay attention to is the tension that is right here between your hand and the hook. So I'm going to grab the yarn with these 3 fingers and then just wrap this underneath my yarn, and it should be able to just slide over your finger right there. And if you don't have enough tension, I'm pretty tight right here. If you don't have enough tension that way, you can try wrapping it around some fingers like that, and then try sliding it. That's plenty of tension there. I'm just going to hold it like this. There is no correct way to hold the yarn. It's just however you're comfortable with it, as long as you get that tension there. Next thing that we're going to do is we actually have to hold this part too, so that your hook is pulling on the loop here. And I like to hold it pretty close up because it gets a bit more uncontrollable when you're further down. So I'm going to actually hold on to that knot that I made, and we're going to make what's called 2 chain stitches. When we do a chain stitch, we're going to pull our hook underneath and wrap it around, and then grab the yarn and pull it through. So that's 1 chain stitch, and we're going to do another one. And again, I like to hold this really close, so I'm going to move my finger a little bit up now that it's closer and make it closer. When I do a chain stitch, it's important that my loop right here is not too tight. Just like the slip stitch that we made, we should be able to just loosen it or tighten it. Again, I like mine tight, but if it's too tight, you won't be able to get your hook through it. So you're going to wrap the yarn around. A lot of people will wrap it around behind, but I like going in front. Notice how when I grab my yarn, I turn my hook a little bit. That'll help me get through this stitch here. I'm going to repeat both of those chains. Just pull it out, and now I'm back down to just my slip stitch that I made. Grab my yarn, wrap that around, grab this down here, that knot, grab the yarn. This is called the yarn over, when I just put the yarn over the hook, pull through, and then come up, and then I can now make that loop however I want to by pulling on this or pulling on this. I might have to re-grab the yarn just so that I have it in the right spot. If I slid too much, I need to come back closer. And then I'm going to do it one more time. Awesome. And that is your chain stitch, your 2 chain stitches. So now we have, this is your second chain stitch, this is your first chain stitch right here. So after you have your 2 chain stitches, we're going to use that first chain stitch as sort of a ring to make what's called single crochets. We're going to do 8 single crochets into this ring, and then it'll wrap around so that it kind of makes a little circle. When you're done, it's going to look like this little part here. So this circle right here is 8 single crochet into that first chain stitch. Here's how we do that. Grab your yarn. We're going to insert your hook into that first chain stitch, yarn over, which means grab that yarn however you're comfortable with it. If you need to wrap it around this way, wrap it around this way. I'm going to do it this way, and pull it through, but don't pull it through both loops, because you have this loop right here, and then you have your chain stitch, so you have 2 on your hook. Gonna grab that yarn and pull it through the chain stitch, and now I have 2 loops again, and I'm gonna grab that yarn and pull it through both loops, and that is your very first single crochet. And I'm going to do that 7 more times in this first chain here. Real quick, I want to show you what this looks like. I'm going to pull my hook out, make that a little bit loose so that I can pull it out. This is your first single crochet. It has 2 sides to it. It kind of looks like a little V right here. Some might have it looser, some might have it a lot tighter, but I'm going to grab my stitch marker and put it just through that first side, the front side of that V, just so that I know where my first stitch is. Put my hook back in and tighten it up again, and then we're going to do the second single crochet. This is in the same exact spot that you put the first single crochet. It's the very first chain stitch that you made. So you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull it through that chain, yarn over again, and then pull it through 2 of these. Now you have 1 single crochet, and then this is your second single crochet, another little V right here. Now I need to do that 6 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and we're going to try not to single crochet on top of the first single crochet, so I'm going to pull this a little bit to see if I can make more space for my last single crochet. 8. And depending on how tight your stitches are, you might have a little hole right here. Sometimes you can pull this original slip knot that you made and close up that hole. If not, then you can just keep that hole and it'll be a lovely memory. So now you have this first little circle, and we're going to work in a spiral. So we have this circle right here. This round is what we're going to call it, of 8 single crochet. This over here you see the V's, and this, what you're seeing is this, what's called a post. So you can see the posts right here, and you can kind of count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it's going to keep going. And in this first single crochet that you're made, we're going to take and make 2 more single crochets, and we're going to do 2 single crochets into every single crochet so that this second round ends up being 16. Then we're going to keep going, and it's just going to spiral around, and there's 16 stitches in every single row from here to here. Great, so now we're going to start the second round, there were 8 stitches in the first round. We're going to do 16 stitches in the second round. So that means that we're going to do 2 in every single single crochet. From now on, we're going to work into the stitches this way. We're going to put our hook through both sides of this V right here. First side and second side. And then we're going to make a single crochet into that one. But first, I'm going to move my stitch marker to the last stitch that I made so that I can tell that I'm in the right spot when I'm done. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through 2. There you go. And now we're going to go back into the same exact spot that we put that single crochet, because we need 2 on this round for every one that we have in this round. So here's the little V stitch and here's the post. If you go to the very bottom of the post, that is where you inserted your hook before, and that's where we're going to insert our hook again. Yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through, 2 loops. So now we have 2 single crochets in the same stitch right here. Now we're going to do 2 in the next one. 1, 2, 2 in the next one. I like to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be 5, 6. And then if I keep counting, I should end on 16 right when I get to this one. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and now the next stitch should be the one that I put my stitch marker in. So I'm going to go through both of these loops here. 17, I'm on 15, sorry. 15, 16. There we go. Way to go, you finished the hardest part. It gets a lot easier from here on out. If you've figured out how to do the single crochet, then that's just all we're doing. I just took my stitch marker and moved it from this round to the end of this round, so it's on my 16th stitch here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet around, but there's only going to be 1 in every single one, and we're going to do that for 6 rounds. So I'm going to do 1 right here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 should be in that last stitch. And now I'm going to move the stitch marker up to the last one on this round. You'll notice that because you're only doing 1 in each one, it kind of curves up. This is actually the wrong side, so that's going to be the inside. So I'm going to flip that to where it has the outside in the right spot. It's the right side. And we just did 1 round of 16 single crochet, and we're going to do that 5 more times. So I'm going to keep a tally right here just so that I don't get lost. So I did one round is done. Now we're getting to the fun part where you can just single crochet for days and days, and you don't have to really count because you're getting used to this, and you're gonna just end up back at that stitch marker and then tally again. And then keep going. Okay, I just made it to the end of my 6th round, and now it's time to change color. So I'm gonna cut this off because I don't need that anymore. And what I'm gonna do is actually take this stitch out and change color halfway through that last one. So insert hook, pull through, and instead of pulling this through both loops, I'm going to pull my white yarn through both loops. I'm gonna kind of fold it in half so that I can grab it right here and pull it through both loops. And then these tails, you can tie them together so that they're pretty secure, and then just stuff them in to the chill pill. And then you can keep going. You're gonna do 6 more rounds of single crochet with the white yarn. I actually forgot to switch my stitch marker on the very last one, but if that happens, you can count up. You can see that there's already a stitch right here above the stitch marker and say, I did 1 round, I did 2 rounds since the last time I marked it. I'm going to take that stitch marker off. Actually, I'm going to put that through this loop so that I can take my hook off for a second. And now it's time to do the piece. So I'm going to put the stitch marker through, that way if it ends up pulling too tight, it doesn't unravel. Alright, time for the face. So what I'm going to make the face, I'm going to make it on the other side of, on the opposite side of the color change so that it's not as obvious that there is a color change there. So I'm going to do it on this side, and I'm going to put my 2 safety eyes into the yarn. I'm going to try and put it like in the middle of a stitch instead of in between 2 stitches because of this. If you can kind of just, it's not really a safety eye if it goes through, so you're going to find a smaller spot instead of a bigger spot. You can kind of just work it in, and there, because it's in the middle of a stitch, it won't come out as easily. And then I'm going to find another one wherever, just put it wherever you want it to be. I think that's pretty good. It leaves enough space for me to make a little cute little smile in between them. And then I'm going to take the backs of my safety eyes and I'm going to put them, secure the safety eye like this. I'm going to put the large part of the little dome in on this side and just push it on till it clicks, and it should be pretty secure there. And same for the other eye. Now I'm going to make a little smile. I'm going to grab this smaller black yarn and my needle, thread the needle. I'm going to imagine that there are two sides of this face. It's just going to be one line and one line. It's going to be just a little arrow down basically. So I'm going to go to the top corner of the mouth, pull that yarn through, but not all the way through. We're going to have a little bit of a tail on the inside so we can tie it off at the end. And then I'm going to pull it back, put it back in the inside of it. This is where the bottom of the cute little smile will be. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Top corner to the bottom of the smile. Oh, I think that's adorable. If you want it to be a little bit thicker, you can go around and do the same thing one more time. Okay, now you got your cute little smile. We can take that needle off and save that for the end. And I'm going to turn this inside out a little bit so that I can tie the two ends of this thread yarn together. Make sure it's nice and secure so it doesn't come out or move the smile at all. And then you can just stuff that in there. And then we're ready for the toy stuffing. I'm going to put some stuffing in, make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. And you're going to fill it up as much as you want it to be. It could be, the more you fill it up, the firmer it's going to be. The less you fill it up, the squishier it'll be. I know a lot of people really like the squishy version. Just keep filling it up little by little. Okay, and once you get about here, then we're going to go back to crocheting with our hook. I'm going to take the stitch marker out and put my hook back in because we need to do something that's called a decrease to close up this hole. And we have 16 single crochets still around here. So we're going to change that to 8 single crochet so it'll get a little bit smaller. What we're going to do is we're going to take, instead of going through both of these loops, see there's a front loop and a back loop right here, we're going to go through just the front loop, and then we're going to go through the front loop of the next one. So you have the front loop here and the front loop here of the next two, and then we're going to finish that single crochet, and that's called a single crochet decrease. So it looks a little bit like a single crochet, but if you pull up, you can kind of tell that the front loops are pulled up here. Let's do that again. Front loop. So there's still a back loop back there. Front loop again. Pull through both of those front loops. There we go. front loop, there we go, front loop, pull through 2. So I did 3. Oh, I should have had my stitch marker over there. I'm gonna count back. 1, 2, 3, so this is my last stitch of my last round. And then I'm going to make sure that when you're getting the front loop, you don't accidentally get the front loop that you already used. We're going to go to this front loop here. Seven. Okay, here's my last decrease, front loop of where my stitch marker is. Pull through, and there we go. Okay, done with the crochet hook. Good. I'm gonna cut a nice length of yarn right here so that I can tie up the little hole with that. And this loop right here that the hook was in, we're gonna just pull it out so that it doesn't unravel at all. That's securing the yarn or tying it off. Do not need the stitch marker anymore, but I do need the needle so that I can close that hole. Here's your last chance if you want to fill up a little bit more of stuffing. If you want to check if you want to do a squish test, see if it's squishy enough, if it needs more or less stuffing. That's your last chance to adjust it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, what's this called? My needle. And I'm going to go through the front loops again, just like we were doing that decrease on that last round. We're going to go through the front loops of all of these 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good. And this is a fun part too, is we're going to just pull that closed. Oh, I love that. Okay, next we're going to do is we're going to stick this needle through, just find a random place, and I like to tie it off with a very, very small knot. Just find some yarn that is maybe a little bit further down. I'm going to pull through and just tie a knot right there. And make it as small as I can so that it's not very noticeable. There you go. And then we're going to put our needle through to some other spot. Now you can cut that off. Pull it a little bit tight so that if there's extra, it'll go back in there. And you have your cute little chill pill. I hope you'd enjoyed it. I'd love some feedback. If you want some more tutorials, I'm happy to do it. Just let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to see your videos or your pictures or anything. Follow me on Instagram at Allie Loops Crochet. Yeah, let me know how your experience was. Bye.